Hey guys, this is my video vlog for this past week's noon conference. This week we had a client with aphasia who had a lot of difficulties voicing his needs, and he was bilingual and he was an elderly patient. So there was a lot going on there. My biggest takeaways from this case were the bilingual aspect and the family aspect, and I thought those were both really good lessons for us to take with us as growing clinicians. Because we don't always think about incorporating the family, and we don't always anticipate ending up having a bilingual client. So it was really important that the clinician was able to accept that she did need help and include the daughter and the niece in her sessions and in her plans, because the client was bilingual and she, had to acknowledge that she wasn't an expert in this language and she didn't really have the tools she needed to help him with both languages. So having access to family members and people that knew the client really well was really important. And I think, too, she talked about how they had to build up that relationship, and her accepting help and her being really willing to work with people he's close to and care about says a lot about her dedication to him. And I think that's one of the things that made him realize that he could trust her and that they could build a good relationship together. And I think that ties into another thing about adult patients and about geriatric patients too. I think a lot of people have the preconception that they're harder to work with, or maybe they're meaner, or more stubborn, the whole 9 yards. And I think that isn't always the case. You have to have empathy for these people because maybe they've gone their whole lives being able to communicate, and now all of a sudden it's taken away from them. So I think this case in particular, how she said, sometimes he was stubborn and sometimes he was upset trying to receive treatment, but when she tended to his needs, like taking him back home and working with his family with both languages and establishing that relationship, he opened up and they made a lot more progress. And I think that's something that we have to remember, and we have to be patient with clients like this, because you never know what's going on in their heads, especially if they can't tell you. So I know that I'm going to take that with me, that I'm going to have to be really open-minded and not have that misconception about older patients, and be willing to ride out that wave and establish that relationship with them, and get as much from them as possible and accept what they give me.